All right, strategy aligned professionals. We are on part number 5 of our 6 days, our 6-part series around AI search, mastering AI search for your brand. And today we're going to get deep into the content itself. That's really going to help you now. So this here, when we think about AI search engines, the whole term around GEO, which stands for generative engine optimization. As I mentioned before, it's really about the entire internet, how your authority is, how authoritative you are across the entire internet, not just your website anymore. This topic here will focus primarily on your website and the content on your website and how you're going to need to optimize the content on that site. So today we're going to talk about ensuring high quality authoritative content for AI search, mastering the art of optimizing content for AI powered search engines with a comprehensive guide for content creators and marketers, and I should say, and leaders, which is everyone here on this call. Again, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jimmy Newson. I am the founder and CEO of Moving Forward Small Business, on a mission to support small businesses with growth strategies and hit our 1 million mark by 2050 in regards to supporting. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find out more about me there or watch some of the previous sessions. Moving Forward Small Business, our organization is a community-based membership. You're seeing Corey, Nikisha, and Laura on. You might see Erica as well. This is how we do a lot of our trainings, where we have members on the call. So it really makes the training interactive, and they become part of the training as well. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit more supportive to help you grow your business through strategic strategies and trainings and tools, consider joining Moving Forward Small Business. We're all about that small business life. Okay. This is presented in partnership with SEMrush. We have some incredible media partners who are on the replay page you'll see about. And just a quick big up for Nikisha, Corey, and Laura. Their companies are also supporting members of this program. So you can check out more about their companies on the website as well. Okay, so we've already done part 1, 2, and 3. They're now on demand. We've also done part 4, which was identifying competitors with AI-powered analysis. Today, we're going to focus on ensuring, of course, high-quality content for AI search, and then we'll get into that final stage where we'll look at the bigger picture of everything else you need to, unfortunately, think about when it comes to making sure that your brand is really set up to see huge success in the AI search engine era. Okay? So, if you haven't seen it yet, after tomorrow, you'll get the replay link. We'll also post it here. Corey, you can feel free to post the replay link anywhere. This is the replay page where you can click on the blue dots to see part 1, all of the training and all the resources mentioned. 2, 3, part 4 has been unlocked. And then after today, part 5 will also be unlocked, and you'll have access to this content up until September 17th. If you don't have a VIP pass, if you upgrade to VIP, you'll have longer access, especially if you're trying to start to implement on a lot of things that we're going to be talking about. And again, if the objective for you is to make sure that you have a strong digital presence, this is probably one of the most important topics of the year. Okay? Because AI, as you already know, has been a huge disruptor of many industries, of many jobs, and it's not going to stop, so we have to make sure that we're adapting appropriately. We're adapting with some level of dignity and ethics. There are always going to be bad players when it comes to AI, but you're going to be one of the good ones. Okay. So real quick, when we think about citations, so again, we're going to go back to talking about citations, because unlike keywords, which drives SEO, citations are one of the main things that drive GEO, generative engine optimization. Okay, so content with citations, there's a 30 to 40% increase in visibility when you are cited. So you want to be cited. And then here's some recent research. When I say recent, it's still almost 2 years old because it's 2025, but this is 2023, and I'll read it. It says recent research shows that content including citations, quotes, and statistics is 30 to 40% more visible in AI search results. So that means not only are we being cited, but we need to cite stuff in our content for authority building purposes, and we'll dive deeper into that. So we definitely show up as more of an authority over anything else. Okay, so in order to make sure that our content is authoritative enough, one, credibility matters. AI systems prioritize content with strong credibility signals. We'll explain what those signals are. Depth and thoroughness. Comprehensive answers outrank surface level content. The days of 500-word blog articles are very limited. I'm not saying they're not useful, but for AI search, for authority building, you're going to need to go deep. This is where we're talking about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 word articles. I've been doing this for a while for a number of my clients, and they're like, is anyone going to read a 3,000, 4,000 word article? And the short answer is no. The objective is not necessarily to write it. You want to make sure you're writing the article so it's for humans, but you're also writing for the AI algorithm. And what it needs to understand is, how well do you know this topic? How well do you know this conversation? And when you're producing a long form piece of content, there are specific elements that must exist on that page, and we're going to look at actual pages that are live, and I'm going to point them out to you, which makes those pages longer, but makes it very relevant that you know what you're talking about, and you are the authority, the authoritative figure in that conversation. Then we got to look at data-backed claims. You need to support with verifiable information. This is where you now you need to make sure that that you have sources, you have, where you getting that information from, whether it's a marketing report, whether it's a statement made by someone. You need to make sure that you list that source somehow, or hyperlink, or link back to that information. And again, I'm going to show you how to do that. And then you need to make sure the information is current, regularly updating your current to maintain relevance. Unfortunately, living in this time, things change rapidly, especially in the technology industry. So if you wrote a really great article, let's say 6 months, a year ago, unless there's very little movement in that industry, or even in that niche, that content is probably going to get dated really quick. Especially with other people now pushing out content just as fast as you're pushing it out. So the key here is to stay relevant and to stay updated with the most current information. Now, the beautiful thing about this is there's tools for every one of these stages, and I'm going to introduce you to quite a few of these tools. And as I talk about the tools, I always say, make sure if you're already using tools, make sure you start there and go, can my tool that I'm currently using do some of this stuff? So you're not incurring any more expenses, and you're not paying for stuff that you don't really use that much. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep going, and then I'm going to check in. So I've been focusing on a number of different brands, including A&M Equipment Sales, which is a vending platform. I've used Laura's company, which is a la carte event and catering in Houston. And I've also used, moving forward, small business. So today I'm going to use primarily the vending machine industry again. And so we're going to start by just analyzing, if I asked a question inside of an AI search platform, and we're going to use Perplexity for this, and we're actually going to use ChatGPT for the first time in this series today as well. Here's the question I asked. How do I start a vending business? Now, the key here is understanding this is a non-branded term, so there's no brand mention. And two, it's top of the funnel. So it's informational. They're not, if I said, where can I buy a vending machine? That's going to put me at the bottom of the funnel. That's a different type of response. What I want to do, since we're talking about content specifically that drives traffic, whether it is through traditional means or AI, we need to ask questions that are more information based. Okay. So I asked this question, how do I start a vending machine? And you'll see it selected a number of sources. You got NerdWallet, you got Swoop US, and you've got LegalZoom. Now, I have a client, of course, that is in the vending industry, and you see in this particular search, no vending companies. This is all companies that are that don't even sell vending machines. These companies here are either legal or they're finance companies that would help you finance your vending machines. They're getting smart, and this is, think of yourself as what other industries are related to yours where you could do the same thing and get into other industries. They're opening up themselves to more markets through content. Now, the company I represent, we do a great job. So we're showing up for a lot of different things around questions like this, just not this one. So this is one we might need to focus on, but I'm going to show you why. So that was the first question. Okay. So here's NerdWallet, and we're going to go through it in a second. Here's Swoop, and here's LegalZoom. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and we're going to start with Perplexity. So I asked the question, how do I start a vending business? Now, what it does is, and this is what you're going to want to do, you want to go to some of these platforms and actually ask the question and look at the results. How are the results laid out? So you can see, of course, it gave them the step-by-step. It told them everything that they need to do. Now, what this can possibly do in a lot of cases, especially at the top of the funnel, is produce what we call zero click. If people get their answer, they may not click through to the source. But that doesn't mean we don't do it, because somebody will click through to the source, especially if they're hungry for more. Okay? So that's where you're seeing like number 3. You're seeing these little things if you scroll over, and this is what it looks like on Perplexity. It's going to look different on Gemini. It's going to look different on ChatGPT. So you're going to need to look at various different platforms. So you got answers. It gives you images, sources, and steps. So we're going to click over here to sources. So here is where you'll be able to see who did they choose to build out this answer. And now you're going to also see not only just these direct links to websites, so content still matters on your website, but you're also seeing Reddit and YouTube, which are, platforms. YouTube is a content-based platform, but Reddit is a conversation, a discussion forum. Okay. But let's go ahead and take a look at these 3. So let's look at NerdWallet. So the first thing I said fact checking. Look what they've done. They've added a fact check. So I'm not even sure if this is a plugin, but I need to get a hold of this, because this basically, this is not for us. This is for the AI search engines that says fact checked. Now, if you happen to be using, I'm going to give you a little side note here. I use this tool called Wappalizer. Okay, it's a Chrome extension. When I'm on someone's website, I click on the Wappalizer, and it will give me their tech stack. So that's one way I can figure out what is that. It may not show up here, but I can see that NerdWallet is obviously a probably somewhat of a custom build. But I can see a lot about the technology that they're using and try to figure out, can I figure out what this is or what are the other things? But that's a side note. But let's scroll down. So we've got fact checked. And then you got an opportunity to immediately sign in. To start to subscribe to them. So they didn't wait to get to the bottom of the funnel. They added an opportunity for them to join their mailing list early. So there's your first call to action. Then you get here to vending machine cost. Okay, so as you can see, so this here is what we'll call an H2. Okay, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. So I'm just pointing it out. This is an H2. I can tell by looking at it. This is an H3. Okay, we're not going to worry about that. So we got part 1, some breakdown. Then we got some bullet points. Then we got part 2. We got some more bullet points. What I'm pointing out here is you need to break this content up. No more blocks of text. You need to start breaking this up into bullet points, into sub bullet points, into hierarchy. Okay, keep scrolling. You got part 3. You got some more listicles, and you got some more bullet points. So you can see this is a very long article. I'm continuing to scroll. Now you got a pros and cons section. The pros of starting the vending machine, the cons. So this is very, very deep. Okay. And then you have this section here called frequently asked questions. And this here should exist on as many of your pages as possible. And if you want a shortcut to adding frequently asked questions to your blog articles, frequently asked questions to your service pages, frequently asked questions to your about page, frequently asked questions about your company, because people will ask these questions. Now, if we think about what we went through in parts 1 through 4, and we were inside the SEMrush AI Toolkit and we were getting those questions, well, those are those questions. And when you answer them on the page, this gives you a chance to, one, if you answer them just because you're answering them, now you have an opportunity to show up when it's necessary. But if you're seeing those questions being answered in a tool like SEMrush's AI Toolkit, now you know you need to add that as one of the actual questions on that specific page. I believe Laura asked a while back, do you make these questions, when she was looking at the content, she goes, do you add these questions to a frequently asked questions page, to a blog post, you add it where it makes sense. And so if you're seeing that question, you're like, this would be a great question for the frequently asked questions section of this specific service page. Well, that's where you put it. Okay. So that's this one. Now let's look at, that was number 1. Number 2. So you can see now they did key takeaways right up top here. And then what they have here to the right is a section where I can click and go to the section. This is improving user experience. So if you look, let's come back over here. So let's look at this here. So now you can see Swoop is on WordPress. They have Hrefs embedded. They're using Href in Google Analytics. They're using A/B testing. So they're A/B testing pages. So they're improving conversion rate optimization. I'm sorry for all these crazy words, but just bear with me for a second. But you see how you can find out the technology for especially for your competition. If you're competing with them and you're able to see their technology, you can go, wow, I didn't know they were using that. We need to step our game up. But again, you're seeing H2s. Look, you're seeing call to actions embedded throughout the blog. Get a quote. So they don't wait till you get to the bottom of the article to start adding, call me if you're interested. Okay? So you've got, bullet points. You've got subheaders. We're going to keep going. We got a breakdown of operational cost. So again, another extremely long article. Now, I'm only going to read this if I'm very, very interested. But at the same time, if I'm ranking for this, there's a good chance that I'm ranking for middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel stuff too, because I better have content in those areas that connect to this. So when I'm clicking on some of these things, they should be leading to middle of the funnel content, bottom of the funnel content. And again, if I get all the way down to the bottom, again, they've got advantages, disadvantages, basically pros and cons. So you're seeing the similarities in the blog articles. Let's get down to the bottom. And there we got frequently asked questions. Again, they're anticipating these are the questions being asked, or they're using a tool and they know these questions are being asked. Okay. So let's look at the third one. LegalZoom. We come here. They've got other articles up here. So if they start scrolling, so it's not as fancy, but again, it's still, this is an H2. These are H3s. This could possibly be an H4 or just bold it. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Bullet points, paragraphs, sometimes graphs. Very long article, frequently asked questions. So my point is, you can set the page up any way you want. It doesn't matter. You just have to make sure it has certain elements on that page. And I'm going to show you a tool that you can use that will help you do this, that'll do 99% of this for you. Okay? All right. So I'm going to pause for a second and hear from the team and hear their thoughts. And I see we have a question in here, possibly. Corey just put in a free consultation community walkthrough. If anybody's interested in checking out a community, you can book a call with me, and I'll give you a walkthrough of our community, and you can check it out more. But anyway, let's hear from you guys. Any thoughts on what I just talked about and showed you so far?
So what I found interesting is LegalZoom and the other company that you were using were talking about vending machines and how to start a vending business. It just have me looking at the potential to share more information to a more diverse audience. I didn't think about LegalZoom being in that conversation on how to start a vending machine business. So that's interesting. That really stood out to me.
Well, let me say this to you. Now, you're a consultant, so imagine going vertical.
Right.
You know, I know you work a lot with what do I call it? Health and beauty. So I know you had a few clients that had like anywhere from a beauty salon to whatnot. Imagine if you did you wrote articles that related specifically to that industry from a consultant's perspective.
Right.
Now you're dominating a specific industry that you normally wouldn't. You're advertising to, but because of your connection to them, you know a lot about their industry.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else before I keep rocking?
Yeah, I was looking at the same thing. So I was just doing the same thing you were doing, looking vertically as far as how many industries could we get into, and especially just looking once you go to the search and look for what's popular, kind of build a narrative around that, or a series of conversations or blogs around that, and then again work your way into that spaces, not just for whatever we do consulting, but also provide a need for the people that are in that industry, for this case, the hair industry. So I think that's a great hack, if you will. Yeah. Yeah.
And the key here is not to try to do too many industries. Pick one that you're really good at and go, let's start here with some additional content that would be relevant. Because if we look again we got Swoop funding, we've got NerdWallet, which is funding, and then we've got LegalZoom, which is legal, but they all deal with small businesses. What they did was they carved out a specific section specifically for small businesses that are specifically vending businesses. Okay. Laura, anything to add to that, or you're good? Okay.
I was surprised at how consistent the information was across the different ones that we looked at. So, like, they all had similar information that they were sharing.
That's a good point, and that's gonna wait till I show you the next thing I'm gonna show you, because it's gonna blow your mind in a way. We'll see. And if anyone that's watching, you can also go into the chat and ask a question there. So any of our attendees, you want to ask a question, please drop it in the chat. So let's come over here. So I took the same question and I dropped it into ChatGPT. And this is why it's so important to look at different platforms. So this is the difference between you going to ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity, and Claude, and DeepSeek, or leveraging a tool that can do all of that for you, which is why, again, I keep recommending a tool like the SEMrush AI Toolkit. So I dropped in the same question, and here was the results. Now, here's the difference. No citations at all for this particular question, which didn't happen the last time I did this, which means they're evolving. So I'm like, all right, so this is absolutely going to produce 0 click. So I asked it. I said, at the end of it, gave me a chart. I said, thanks. why are there no citations listed? So I asked it directly. I'm like, dude, where'd you get this information? And why is no one cited? So then it says, great question. You're right to ask that. In this case, the response didn't include direct sources because the information provided comes from a mix of common industry knowledge, startup practices, and vending machine norms that are widely documented across multiple reputable sites such as Entrepreneur, vending machine supplier sites, which would include my client, and small business development centers. It was summarized to be clear and actionable without overwhelming you with citations. So they actually removed the citation. Then it said, but if you like specific sources or links for deeper research, I can absolutely provide that. And it provided me then. So understand, top of the funnel could possibly produce for you, depending on the platform, 0 click. What you want to do is figure out, well, what are the keywords that I can use that will give me the opportunity to be cited and possibly get the click. And again, that's when we come back over to the SEMrush tool and we go over to visibility and we start focusing on actual questions that are being asked that are related to our brand. And then look at companies like Gumball here and go, all right, if we're number one, I'm not concerned about it. What I'm doing is Gumball, here's their rankings. All right, they're number 2 for these questions. Now I can go out and start creating specific content for this question. Where can I purchase outdoor snack vending machines? Okay, we're not to be found in that conversation. Gumball is number 1, Candy Machines number 2. So this might give me an opportunity to go, all right, is this a page? Is this a blog post? Is this a question I need to, is this, do I have a page or a product that is an outdoor, that can be outdoors and indoors? And do I now need to add the term outdoor machine to this page? I would go even further and add outdoor, uses for this machine and add outdoor as one of the bullet points, and then go to the bottom and add a frequently asked questions and go, is this machine good for indoors and outdoors? And then answer it. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to produce an entire piece of content unless it warrants having a blog article, which you still might go, let me get a blog article about the best outdoor machines versus the best indoor machines, and then of course link that back to the sales page or the product page for those machines. So the strategy and structure is up to you. So I hope you guys are finding value with that. So that becomes, this goes back to Laura's going, I'm surprised that all the content looks the same. And this is what they came back with, because this is common industry knowledge for this very specific question. That's why they decided not to cite anybody. Okay. So that to me was a bit mind blowing. All right. So let's keep rocking. Now that we've gotten through that, now let's talk about content formats. What content do we need to be creating in 2025 for AI search? And at the end of the day, it's the same content you should be creating anyway. Blog posts, videos, podcasts, infographics. That's not to say there's not more, but these are some of your top level content that is pretty relevant to most businesses. Now, the key here is you might not have a podcast because that is a bit of an undertaking. But if you're producing blogs, videos and infographics become very easy because of technology, because there are tools that can convert your blogs into videos and infographics in 30 seconds or less. Okay? So you don't have to do more. You just have to have the right tools and know how to use those tools. So you can basically, at the end of the day, repurpose your content. Do a better job at repurposing your content. Okay? So if we go back to Perplexity, we took a look at that same question. If we scroll down and we hit back up here, we hit the how do I start a vending business? We scroll down a little bit further, we can see that there are videos. So now if you happen to have blogs, you can actually optimize those blogs and turn them into videos. They could be, you could just create a script and then record yourself speaking in front of camera, which is most of what these guys are doing here. Or you can do faceless videos by using a tool like Lumen 5, which I'll show you here in a second. But so you've got these videos, and I think I went through this one already. So this here was my client. This video is starting to rank. This video is over 15, probably 10 to 15 years old. I say 10. These videos were done before they were a client of mine. They've been a client of mine for probably 8 or 9 years now. Okay. But these videos are still ranking. Now, someone asked me before, do you upload the video to your website? I would say no. You upload them to a platform like YouTube, and then you embed the video into your website. That is the best way to do it, because now you got the best of both worlds. You're going to get the search on your site, but you're also going to get search through YouTube, because these tools are, of course, are using multiple different ways of validating the content. Okay. So if we're going to come back over here, this is the Lumen 5 tool I'm going to show you here in a second. And then this is another tool I recommend called Text to Infographic, where you can pull in your blog post and it will create an actual infographic for you that you also embed back into your website. You're creating all these assets from a pre-existing piece of content. So if we come back over here and we go back to Perplexity, we originally asked the question. I'm going to go back over here to answers. And then at the bottom, I asked another question, and then it gave me answers, images, videos, sources, and steps. We're not going to get into steps, but every one of these videos are on the YouTube platform. Now, this is Perplexity. So Perplexity may prefer YouTube. I'm not saying that they do, but I don't see Vimeo, I don't see Wistia videos, I don't see videos embedded natively on your website, or even social media videos like Facebook or Instagram or any of these other platforms. So this is where you might, if your focus is like to focus on a platform like Perplexity, then you might go, YouTube is my main video source, but it might be different if you try a different AI search platform like SearchGPT or ChatGPT. Okay. But the objective here is, and then you want to click on it, and they don't take you to the video. They just open up what we call a light box. So you stay on the platform. Just like Google doesn't want you to leave, these guys don't either. Okay. So you play around with it to get an experience so you can figure out, how does this help me build a better strategy for my content as I move forward. Okay. I mentioned this platform. So Lumen 5. So Lumen 5, I'm on a free plan, and I get more than enough videos every month. I just drop in a link to the video. First of all, I publish the blog post. After I publish the post, then I drop the post into Lumen 5, and it generates a video. I have interns doing this for me. So you don't have to do it, but it should be done. And then I upload those videos to YouTube, and then I had them embedded back into my website. And if you're on a free plan, you don't have a lot of flexibility, but you have enough. You can still make major updates to the content before it's finalized and published. So I'm going to show you an example. This is the actual vending machine. So on the free plan, I think you get up to 2 minutes of AI voice, which is not a lot. But I want to show you the quality of what this thing did without me doing anything other than going, use this version, use this, and give me an AI voice with it. So I'm going to unshare and reshare for a second, because I have to share the actual tab so you can hear the audio on it. So give me a second. Let's go here and share. All right. So here's the video. So again, all I did was drop in the URL for after we produced this video for a client. It's called Vending Machines, Everything You Need to Know. And here was the result.
Vending machines are everywhere, offering quick access to snacks, drinks, and even electronics. They cater to diverse consumer needs, making them a staple in our daily lives. But did you know they also present a lucrative business opportunity? Starting a vending machine business requires a low initial investment compared to other ventures. With billions in revenue generated annually in the United States, it's a profitable option for entrepreneurs. Plus, you can choose your locations and manage your time flexibly. Traditional snack and soda machines are popular, offering a variety of products. Specialty machines focus on items like coffee or electronics. Combo machines.
I'm going to pause. I'm going to unshare and reshare my main screen. But while I'm doing that, what are your thoughts? Like, that's all, everything about that was 100% AI. Share your thoughts with me, anybody here.
That was good, especially when you say that the level of effort is so low.
The level of effort, and again, it's not hallucinating because it's using your content. So you've already done the work to make sure that the data that it spits out is correct. If you have images, which you should have images on it, it's pulling images directly from the blog article. If you don't have images, it will make its own. That's why you're seeing video and audio. You can update and change that. So that might take a little bit of time. But at the end of the day, imagine how more professional your content looks and how you can now upload to YouTube. Now you're making sure YouTube's covered. You're making sure the website has so much more. It's multimedia based. There's video, there's audio. There could be, if you're using the infographic thing, you can drop it in and get an infographic of your blog article. And it's so you've got so much really great content. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, I was just going to say it was a great way to repurpose the content so quickly. It gives you time to do other things. But yeah, that was a great tool and a great way to do that.
Absolutely. So now the focus is on value, not keywords. So the shift from going from SEO to GEO is avoid keyword stuffing. So we're not looking at keywords. Now we still use keywords. So I still do keyword research, but it's really to start my strategy. Because I want to focus on each service. Each service is to me a keyword. Now the question here is to embrace the relevance around the keyword, the conversation. So instead of keyword stuffing, shallow content, and duplicate information, it's really about embracing the audience resonance. What does the audience think? What are they asking? What is the engagement drivers? What's making people take action? What's the unique perspective that you can add to that? That's where the shift starts to come into. So you still need traditional SEO in its truest form. You're just layering on top of that the next step, the next stage. Okay, so for AI search quality factors, we need to make sure that let's start from the bottom. The quality is there, it's accurate. There's depth to the topic, and there's clarity. And then relevance. We need to match the intent of the user. Okay, and then of course authority. Are you recognized in your field as an expert? And this is where you have to start. This is where part 6 is going to come into play, where we need to start doing things like press releases and being quoted in the media and making sure our social media channels are really representing for us, and that we're doing everything from getting great testimonials, and those testimonials are easily found on Google or Nextdoor or whatever platform you're using for people to give honest feedback to you on you. Are you contributing to third-party platforms like Reddit and Quora and having real conversations as the expert? Okay, so again, we go back over to the SEMrush AI toolkit, and again we can start to see those questions. So this allows us to get ahead of the game instead of going to Gemini and asking a question and then going, I'm not showing up for anything. Well, if you have a tool like this, well, it'll show you where you are showing up, and it'll show you where you're not, but your competitors are. And that becomes a starting point, because if we can determine that our competitors are crushing it and we're not, and we can see the questions being asked where they're showing up, well, we're now getting the answers to where we need to start to either create or optimize our existing content. Okay, so again, we're looking at the topic query. There's 2 sections inside of the AI toolkit, And again, if you want to use your own variation of a tool, find one that works for you. Okay. So if we come back over here, again, we're in the visibility section. I'm in the A&M equipment cell. So we're in visibility. So top priorities, share a voice by platform. So remember, so now again, if I switch from Google AI mode for these questions to ChatGPT, and there we go. So we have a different set of questions, same competitors, but how they're showing up different. So again, you can see how well you're doing because you're one. So you can see tons of branded content, or you can do this here, hit this button here. You can see how we're doing on non-branded content. Okay. And then we can see if we're the only ones who offers pre-inspected used vending machines. It's us. We're number 2, VendNet, and this is, I'm not sure who this is. I can't see it from here, but they're number 5. So somebody's number 1. So I'm not tracking somebody I probably should be tracking. So the best thing to do is just to go click on this and see who is in there, who's in number 1. So it's saying Vending World, so I'm not tracking Vending World. So now I know I need to start tracking Vending World. So I just learned about a new competitor. Okay, so this is again how you might leverage a tool like this to either find a gap, improve on an existing position, or prove your authority. Okay, and again, if that's not enough, then you can just go to the question section and then come down here, and then here are the questions being asked for this brand around buying options and availability, product features and specifications, financing, pricing, and deals, industry knowledge and business guidance, customer support, training, and services. Here are the questions. So again, as far as industry knowledge and business guidance, who specializes in healthy snack vending machines? Who supplies vending solutions for correctional facilities? You don't necessarily have to answer that question because that means you would have to put in other competitors. But what you could do is go, here is who we service. Blah, 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 correctional facilities, blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. So you integrate it that way. So if I was NerdWallet, I might answer this question and give you a number of different brands they can choose from. If I am the brand, I'm just going to elaborate on how I help correctional facilities. So I might at that point just produce a piece of content on the power of vending machines in correctional facilities. So you see how you flip it depending on who you are in the conversation. You have to determine, how would I use this? Am I going to answer the question, or am I going to modify it to fit my narrative? That should be true. Let me make sure I say that. That should be true. I'm going to pause for a second. Thoughts? Nope. Anybody? Nothing? Okay. Then I'm going to keep rocking. We're almost done. I know this is a lot, and I apologize. Sorry, but not sorry. I don't apologize. Take that back. Okay. Data-driven content strategies. We have to now think about the statistics and the research. Incorporate relevant data points from credible studies to support your argument. Expert citations. Quote recognized authorities in your field to add weight to your perspective. Case studies. Present real-world examples that demonstrate practical applications of your insights. Okay? So, to do that, see if your tool has the ability. One of the tools I used is a tool called AnyWord. It's a generative AI tool. And when I use AnyWord and I have a blog written in it, they added a new section called Facts and Statistics. And what it does is that is step 5 of the writing process. I can actually go in here and add facts, real facts from real authoritative sources, and it hyperlinks it for me. So that's one way. So you don't have to use any words. So you might go, what's your generator tool? What tool do you use to create content, specifically blog articles? And does it have the ability to do to find facts and statistics? If it does, fantastic. So that's one. The tool I use primarily for blogging is a tool called ScaleNut. And ScaleNut has a section in here when I'm writing for statistics. So I can do my own search for additional statistics, or again, I can add these statistics in here and the source of the statistic. So again, before I would have had to go out and figure and find this, or my writers would have to go out and make sure that to find really great sources to source. Well, the tool's doing a lot of that work for you in real time. Okay. Case studies. Like we now have case studies. We've done quite a few of them for moving forward small business. And this proves how, our perspective or our point of view and our results. So I can use my own case studies in the conversation for a blog article when I talk about how somebody can do this or how they can do that, and then reference my case study, which is labeled a case study. Okay, so if you don't have case studies, you need to be doing that immediately. I did something that showed how I put together these case studies using AI. I'll make sure that video is also on this page. It's an hour-long video, and I walk through my entire process of using AI to help me create my case studies. So I'll share that with everyone. Okay, so let's come back over here for a second. Let's go into ScaleNut. That's the only tool I'm going to go into. So I recently, yesterday, in preparation for this, ScaleNut made some adjustments to their platform. So I had to create a new version of that template because now it added some things like prompt coverage and schema markup. So if I click on this here, give me a second. If I click on this here, it says that your content covers responses for 10 prompts. So it already figured out what prompts that this blog article needed to cover. And if it didn't, it would have a fix it button like this. And I could literally click here to have it fix it for me if it was missing. And then it did schema markup. And it said my schema markup is all good. Schema markup is present and aligned with structured data guidelines. And then keyword terms. Remember I said keywords weren't important? They still are. I need to make sure that, current key terms usage is 59. They suggest at least 56. So if this was at 47, it will allow me to fix it and add more key terms that are relevant to the entire blog article. And if I scroll down, it created this in minutes. This is an 8,000 word article. So again, the tool knows how long to make the article. I didn't tell it to make it 8,000. That's what it did. On average, my articles I use in here usually come out between 2,000 and 4,000 words. This is one of the first ones that's come out that in depth. Okay, but if we come over here to research, this is where we're seeing the key terms that need to be used. I can see the competition, who we're competing with, their word count, 3,200, 4,500, 1,800. NerdWallet actually came in at 465, but their overall score is only 32. So guess what? I published this. I'm taking NerdWallet out the gate. I'm taking them out the game because this number here, 75, 72, 50, that is this. That's the content score to show up in traditional search and AI search. It's saying the average score needs to be at least 46. The top score is 75. So if you end up writing an article and you see the majority of the people that are writing have low scores, you can almost feel good about the fact that this is going to be a good day for you. Okay? Now again, if I come back over here to search real quick, we got statistics. And again, I can either search for additional statistics or I can grab one of these and integrate it into my article. Okay? Questions. Here are questions being answered. If they're, and it is this sign here stands for an AI prompt. This is an AI prompt, so I can get this answers. If I click on it, it adds it here somewhere. I don't know where it added it. I have to look. There we go. But it says, what are the first steps to starting a vending business? Let's just say I click on here. I want that because that's a question being asked. I click down here and I go right ahead. And it's going to start to answer that question for me. It's thinking and it's writing it. So what I might do is add that question. So if I come over here, you can see we got bullet points. We got H1s, H2s. You can see that's an H3. These are all AI images, and they're getting better by the day. Now for this, I would prefer to use my clients' images because they actually have real vending machines. So I would ask them to give me actual vending machines to replace these images. This one I might keep because this is actually pretty cool. Okay? And then of course, I get all the way down to the bottom. They even created a chart. Now here's the thing about using AI to help you write content. You still need to be an expert so you can fix this if this chart was incorrect. Don't just publish it. You need to go, actually those numbers are too low. Actually those numbers are too high. Let me adjust it. Because I know, because I'm the expert, that this actually is correct, but this one is not. Okay? I get all the way down to the bottom. There's my frequently asked questions. So it's already created. So remember when we looked at all those other articles where this wrote the entire, this is why I use ScaleNut specifically for blog writing only. I use AnyWord and Gemini for everything else that I need to create. I use this specifically to write articles to rank better in search. And it also says share your screen. I am sharing my screen. Can everybody see my screen? So Elsa, I'm not sure why you can't see my screen. Everybody can see my screen. Try maybe refreshing your screen, or at least make sure you're not on a mobile device. Okay. I'm going to keep rocking. And if you still have problems, Elsa, the replay will be up either later tonight or in the morning, and you can watch it from there. Okay. All right. So I think that's enough. I think you got it here on in regards to that. So content structure, clear headings, use descriptive section titles, logical hierarchy, organize information systematically, in scannable blocks. Break content into digestible elements, segments. And that's what you're seeing with this. You see it's not one big block of text. There are really defined H3 headers, H2 headers, bullet points, charts. So it's a very engaging article. And it's not only meant for humans, but it's meant for AI search engines to easily scan it and go, I just need this question. Oh, let me just take this highlight section. See this key highlights? This highlights in relationship to the title of this article. So you're making it easy for whatever AI tool to figure out, what do I need to cite this specific article, which would then cite this specific brand. Okay, Corey dropped the link to the AI toolkit in the chat if anybody wants to do a 7-day free trial and test out the AI toolkit. Okay, let's keep going. We're about done here. So I showed you this here. So you need to make sure that everything that you're producing with AI is factually correct. So do your research. Verify facts before publishing. These tools will hallucinate if given the chance, and you need to make sure if any numbers are thrown out, you validate those numbers, percentages, quotes, anything that it's saying someone said, make sure they say it. Usually I start by just taking what someone said or the statistic, and I drop it into Google, and I see if it comes up. And if it doesn't come up, I know it's not real. That's my easiest way of validating. And if I can't validate it, sometimes I'll just remove it altogether. But now you have tools like AnyWord and ScaleNut that will actually find actual real quotable research. So you validate, you cross-reference, you update when needed, and you present with accuracy. Okay? So at the end of the day, we're talking about leveraging authoritative publications. Okay. So authoritative sources, you can use like academic journals, industry reports, government publications. So if you want to cite really strong content or really strong signals, do a search for an industry report for the industry you're writing about. So now you have real data points that can be referenced in your stuff, and you can cite who said it, whether it's academic, whether it's industry, whether it's government. What you'll add to it is your unique insights, your industry experience, and if you have them, case studies, because case studies put you at the bottom of the funnel for potential conversions. Okay? So the key here is you got to keep your content strategy fresh. So you need to audit your content. So if you're using a tool, and this is another great thing about this tool here. So if I come over here back to ScaleNut, let me go to articles. Let me come out of this. They have this section called content audit. So let's say you already have 100 blog articles. You got 200 blog articles. You got 10 blog articles. You can actually pull that article into ScaleNut, and it'll give it an immediate score. So you can see this one here is yellow. It's 71. It has a content score of 71, which is not bad. But you got this one that has a content score of 33. So I might go, let me update this one. So I can click here and optimize and actually use ScaleNut and optimize and get that number back up and then republish that content. Just like that. Okay. So I don't know of any other tool right now that can do that. I'm pretty sure there has to be. But this is the tool I actually use to continue to update my content. Like this has 47. This article, Understanding Cash on Delivery, a comprehensive guide, was when we had it written, it was pretty high. And because of competition and because of possibly some outdated content, it's dropped down to 47. I need to optimize this because we were getting lots of traffic on this. The keywords that we chose for this were driving really great traffic to our site. We need to optimize this blog article. Now, without having tools, you wouldn't know that this article needs to be updated. You just have to assume or look at your Google Analytics report and go, we're not getting traffic on this. It must, and we used to get great traffic on this. We might need to update this. But this is why I want you to start to leverage technology to some degree to help you with this stuff. So you put the little bit of time that you do have available to you to use in the best way possible. Let me pause for a second. I know I've said quite a bit. Does anybody want to jump in or ask a question? Because I'm going to try to end this in another few minutes so we can go to VIP.
I need to
Go
start
ahead, Nikisha.
blogging.
Blogging is incredible.
Listen,
I'm excited.
that's
I've
what
got
I'm
a
getting
number
from
of
this.
pieces. Yeah, I'm glad that you're feeling that way, Nikisha. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and close this out. So I created the content quality checklist for AI search visibility. So let me quickly walk you through that so you'll have direct access to this. I'll drop this in the chat if you want to play around with it now. So I just dropped the link. It's on Notion. So if you don't have Notion, you can copy it and paste it into a Word doc. If you do have Notion, you can transport it into Notion. Notion is free, and you can map things out like your data sources, find and collect relevant industry statistics, find recent research papers and studies. Part 2, content structure. It walks through the content structure that we talked about, citations and references, content quality. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it's a pretty comprehensive checklist if you want to do this, if you want to do it this way, or you can leverage tools like SEMrush tool and ScaleNut and let them, and then you don't have to track anything. You just have to go into being proactive and doing things. Okay. Of course, we have the step-by-step AI visibility checklist, and inside the community, there's only so much time I have to talk through all of this stuff. So in our community, we already have training on a lot of the stuff that goes deeper. We have the Unlock Your Power of Inbound Strategy for Small Business Success, which goes deep into a lot of what we talked about today. We have training on creating your high converting lead magnets. That's also what we're talking about here today when you're creating content that draws in the right traffic and having a lead magnet or something like that to convert them. Okay. So the next steps is test out the tool. We dropped the link in the chat. We're about to jump over to Zoom for all those that have a VIP, and now they can ask any question they want, and we'll just answer for about an hour. So all those, you should have gotten your VIP link. It's the same one you've gotten every week for the last 4 weeks. But I did send out an email today. If you do want to upgrade to VIP, just Corey just dropped in a Stripe link. It's $47. It not only gets you into the VIP, but it gives you access to all of this training for a lot longer if you're not already a member of Moving Forward Small Business, okay, the community, okay? So any final questions, thoughts, or ahas before I let everyone go and we jump into VIP? Okay, all right, so again, this is how we do our trainings inside the community where we have our members on the training, whoever can show up, and they ask really great questions, which helps to everyone else that might go, that's actually a good question, I didn't see it in the training. So it adds a dynamic to our training strategy. So with that being said, we have a motto here. It's what we call our Mandalorian way, and that is stay active, stay focused, stay strong. That is the Moving Forward Small Business way. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching the replay, thanks for watching the replay. Consider showing up for our final session. It's going to be dynamic. And again, you'll have access to all of these trainings, which is why we broke it into 6 parts, because this AI search thing is deep. But you're either going to do it or have somebody do it for you. And now you have a roadmap so you can make sure that it's being done correctly, regardless of who does it. So with that being said, thank you again. For everyone else, let's jump over to Zoom. And I'll see you in VIP. And for everyone else, I hope to see you next week for part 6 of our 6-part series on preparing your brand for AI search. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.